While delivering food, I received a call from my drunk girlfriend. I immediately abandoned the overdue order and rushed back to find her. But when I arrived, injuring my leg on the way, she was shouting in joy over winning a bet. She had drunkenly come to my door by herself. I turned her away at the door, because after that night, she had already lost me. At 2 a.m. there weren't many drivers still accepting orders. I took one covering 3 neighborhoods and sped down the street. Just then, my girlfriend, Vanessa, called. The moment I picked up, I was hit by the deafening noise of a bar. "Ethan, I'm a little drunk," she said. The order was just 50 meters away. I intended to tell her to wait patiently, but then came the sound of a man laughing behind her. "Hey little lady, you're so cute. Let me take you home." Before I could finish speaking, she hung up. I immediately turned my bike around, not noticing the car ahead, and crashed into it. Pain seared through my leg as blood soaked my pants. Limping, I finally arrived at the bar entrance, only to see Vanessa smiling brightly, almost falling into another man's arms. "Ethan, I'm here," she called happily upon seeing me, waving and running over. I instinctively dusted myself off and opened my arms to catch her. But she walked right past me, toward my delivery bike. "What's the bet this time?" I turned and saw her friends all gathered around. "We're betting how many deliveries he's made." Vanessa Brooks clapped excitedly. "I say 5. I say 3. Then I'll say 1, another chimed in. One by one, her friends made their guesses, not noticing how my face darkened. When the box was opened, the food was a mess. "Aha! I win again!" Vanessa shouted, jumping with joy like she'd just won the highest prize in the world. She immediately popped open a bottle of champagne in celebration. "There's no helping it," she said gleefully. "My Ethan loves me so much. He heard I was about to be taken away by some smelly man, so of course he came flying." She sang a cheerful tune as she spoke. Before long, 5,000 was shoved into my hand. "Here, love. Take it. You deserve it," she said. This wasn't the first time. Whether it was champagne or cash, none of it was something I could win through my own effort. I silently calculated how much I'd be fined for the late order, unsure how to react. The champagne splashed onto my injured leg, the sting jolting me back to my senses. I stuffed the money back into her hand. "You're fine now, so I'm leaving." Vanessa Brooks's smile froze. "Are you mad?" she asked softly, coming closer. "Don't frown. I just wanted you to be with me." I gently placed her hand down. "Don't act cute anymore. I still have to go." I tried to leave as if nothing had happened, pushing my broken bike. But the chain had snapped at some point, shattering the last bit of dignity I had left. Once, twice, I used all my strength, but the wheels wouldn't move. Vanessa Brooks scoffed, her voice filled with disappointment. "Why do you have to make a fool of yourself when everyone else is having fun?" The crowd fell silent. All eyes turned to me. She kicked my beat-up electric bike and it crashed to the ground. "Tell me, why are you ignoring me? Is this broken bike more important than I am?" But the chain had snapped at some point, shattering the last bit of dignity I had left. Once, twice, I used all my strength, but the wheels wouldn't move. Vanessa Brooks scoffed, her voice filled with disappointment. "Why do you have to make a fool of yourself when everyone else is having fun?" The crowd fell silent. All eyes turned to me. She kicked my beat-up electric bike and it crashed to the ground. "Tell me, why are you ignoring me? Is this broken bike more important than I am? When did I start living so pathetically?" Maybe it was from that Christmas in my 3rd year of university, when Vanessa Brooks said she wanted to go to Iceland. She told me, "Ethan, next Christmas let's go to Iceland and watch the Northern Lights. I heard couples who pray beneath the aurora will stay together forever." At that time, looking at her hopeful face, I thought maybe I should prepare a ring. But when I found out a one trip to Iceland cost 30,000, I hesitated. When did I start living so pathetically? Maybe it was from that Christmas in my third year of university, when Vanessa Brooks said she wanted to go to Iceland. She told me, "Ethan, next Christmas let's go to Iceland and watch the Northern Lights. I heard couples who pray beneath the aurora will stay together forever." At that time, looking at her hopeful face, I thought maybe I should prepare a ring. But when I found out a one trip to Iceland cost 30,000, I hesitated. I had it all planned. Tutoring on weekends, delivering food at night. If I kept it up for 6 months, I'd save enough for the trip. The next 6 months would be enough to buy her a decent diamond ring. I wanted to give her the best I could. From that point on, nearly all of my free time was spent working. And before I realized it, Vanessa had gradually drifted away from me. The phone rang, pulling me out of my thoughts. It was Emily, Vanessa's roommate. "Ethan, Vanessa didn't come back to the dorm last night. I can't reach her. Don't forget to remind her about the thesis proposal report this afternoon." Since we started college, Vanessa Brooks's family had bought her a 3-bedroom apartment off campus. She rarely stayed at the dorm, so calls from Emily were usually just friendly gestures. In the past, whenever we fought, I would always be the one to make peace first. Because if I didn't, she'd get her friends involved and pressure me into giving in. I returned to the station once to deal with a penalty order. After getting chewed out harshly by the manager, I figured I probably couldn't keep this job much longer. By the time I had handled everything, it was already lunchtime. I bought some vegetables from a roadside stall and rushed to Vanessa's apartment. Along the way, I still couldn't stop thinking about last night. Maybe she was just angry because she loved me. Once she sobered up, she'd probably hug me and apologize. I stood outside her door, convincing myself I'd cook her a 3-dish, 1-soup meal. But when the door opened, the scene inside shattered everything I had imagined. Vanessa Brooks looked startled as she pushed a man away. Though their clothes were still on, they sat closely, intimately. "Ethan, I can explain." The man hastily stumbled off the couch, too dizzy to stand. I recognized him, Ryan Carter, her childhood friend. Ever since he returned from abroad last year, he'd been hovering around her like a fly. She couldn't get rid of him no matter how hard she tried. Ryan was just being nice and brought me home last night. We both had too much to drink and fell. Nothing happened, we were fully clothed. Yes, clearly, nothing happened. But the more she explained, the more powerless it all sounded. I struggled to control my breathing, trying not to let my tears fall. But all the blood in my body surged to my head in a blinding wave of anger. My fist flew, and blood immediately dripped from the corner of Ryan Carter's mouth. But in the next second, Vanessa threw herself in front of him, shielding his face with concern. "Ethan. Are you insane? I told you, nothing happened. What more do you want? You're asking me what I want." I stared at her in disbelief. She had become someone I could no longer recognize. And finally, the tears fell. Last Halloween in Las Vegas, New Year's in Vancouver, even this year's Lantern Festival in Japan. Are you really going to tell me he didn't go with you? Whenever they traveled, she'd freely post group pictures online, but always managed to hide one specific figure in the background. Of course she wouldn't admit it. All the places I wasn't present. He had been there. Smack. Her slap landed hard on my face, stinging sharply. "If you had just been around more, would I have needed someone else to go with me?" she shouted. "Ethan, all you ever care about is your fragile pride. But did you ever think about me? Why does it always have to be me who gives in to you? But all I ever wanted was to work hard for our future. Was that so wrong?" Ryan Carter sneered and patted me on the shoulder. "Can you really give her the future she wants? I wasn't around before, but I'm back now. There's no place for you anymore." His contempt struck me like a hammer to the chest, leaving me breathless. I clenched my fist and aimed at his temple. But this time, Vanessa shielded him tightly. She lifted her chin and closed her eyes, clearly prepared to give everything for him. And I could only think about one thing: at what point did the person she loved and cared for stop being me? Well, none of it matters anymore. I let go of my clenched fists and walked into the house. From the TV cabinet, I took out the ring I had hidden long ago. The diamond, under the harsh light, sparkled brilliantly. A blinding mockery of my humiliation and heartbreak laid bare before Vanessa Brooks. I threw it into the trash can and said calmly, "Let's break up." Her expression slowly froze. She looked up, lips trembling. "No, it shouldn't end like this." She desperately lunged forward, clutching my arm. "Ethan, please listen to me. I was wrong. I'm sorry. Please forgive me, okay? I really love you. I really can't live without you." Vanessa Brooks reached out to touch my face, attempting to offer a cheap kiss. But I had nothing left. With all my strength, I pushed her away and walked off. She fell to the ground. "Ethan, you can't leave me. I won't let you. How could you be like this?" Her hysterical screaming echoed behind me, soon turning into howling sobs. In the end, only muffled weeping remained. I had imagined countless times what she would be like when I surprised her with a proposal. Tears in her eyes, flustered but happy, crying and laughing at the same time, saying, "I do." But now there was only shock, no joy. Back at the dorm, my roommates had gone to their afternoon classes. I asked Daniel to help request leave for me. "You look terrible," he said. He insisted on taking me to the hospital. But what would I even say to the doctor? That I feel nauseous and can't stop throwing up? "I'll be fine. Just need to sleep it off." "You don't look fine at all." He refused to back down and helped me sit up. I said, "I'm fine. Can you just leave me alone?" Without meaning to, I shoved him hard. Daniel fell to the floor. He looked at me for a long time, then simply said, "Get some rest," and left. I was alone in the dorm. Finally able to cry, ugly, raw, without shame. Only when the tears dried did I fall into a heavy sleep. In a long dream, I went back to the past. I saw Vanessa Brooks calling my name downstairs, unashamedly telling me she loved me. Back in freshman year, the hardest time of my life. I had failed the college entrance exam, barely got into a backup school. Then my dad fell at the construction site, almost paralyzed for life. In those dark days, I often walked to the riverbank. Just as I was about to give up, Vanessa Brooks grabbed my sleeve. She smiled and said, "Dying's easy. But with a face like yours, what a waste it'd be. If you can't live for yourself, then live for me. Love me. Let's see how far we can go." She was like the sun. Blazing, relentless, refusing to let me stay in the dark. Our love lasted 3 years. Looking back now, I remember. When I was at my worst, she came down from the heavens to hold me. It's been 3 years. Why has everything changed? She loved my looks, fell for the surface, but when I hit rock bottom, she couldn't accept the broken version of me. "Ethan, feeling better yet?" I opened my eyes drowsily. It was already dark outside. The others had returned from class. "Vanessa Brooks came looking for you. She's been waiting downstairs a while," someone said. I glanced out the window and didn't respond. The youngest roommate paused his game, took off his headset. "Bro, I'm begging you. I'll call you Dad if that helps. Please just go down. She's about to blow up our phones." Guilt swelled in me. For how many times I'd dragged them into this mess over the years. I rushed downstairs. Vanessa Brooks's eyes were still swollen, dark red circles under them like flower stamens soaked in dew. I suddenly remembered her once teasing me, "This is called tear makeup. It's the ultimate pitiful look. No one can resist it." She stepped closer and took my hand, whispering softly, "Ethan, are you still mad at me?" I shifted slightly, subtly avoiding her. "We've already broken up." She looked stunned. Letting go of my hand, she handed me a large bag. "Aren't you busy job hunting these days? You'll need these things. You've never even worn the suit I bought for you. And this tie, I had it handmade just for you." All these years, Vanessa Brooks had treated me like a doll to dress up. I used to think it was passionate love. Until she threw away all my peasant clothes. And without shame, sent them to her friends to laugh at. Only then did I realize I was just a toy for her idle boredom. At that thought, I couldn't help but let out a faint laugh. I wasn't worthy. Even the trash can suited me more. Her face silently stiffened. Maybe she thought I'd never find out how she had mocked me behind my back. "Ethan, I just want to be with you now. Didn't you want to get married?" "I'm saying yes. Let's go register tomorrow." How laughable. As if I was the only one who wanted marriage. She didn't even ask, just grabbed my hand tightly. The tears came right on cue, blending perfectly with the makeup she'd carefully prepared. "Ethan, I gave up everything to win you back. With all these people around. Do you really want to make me cry?" People started gathering, just like back when she first confessed to me. Back then, I thought her love was fierce and true. She counted on me being unable to say no. But things have changed. "Vanessa Brooks," I said for the last time, "we are over. I hope you stop bothering the people around me too." After saying that, I turned and walked into the building. "Ethan, if you take one more step, we're really over." No matter how angry or desperate she became, I was resolute this time. I left. Back at the dorm, everyone pretended nothing had happened and returned to their seats. Daniel glanced at me, clearly wanting to say something but hesitating. In the end, I was the one who spoke first. "Daniel, I can't return your electric scooter anymore." At first, I had planned to propose. Only Daniel had supported the idea, even lending me his electric scooter so I could get around. Now, saving money had lost all meaning. I transferred him a sum of money. "I'm compensating you at full price." At that point, no more words were needed. We understood each other. Daniel firmly put his arm around my shoulder. "It's been too long since we drank together. Tonight, we're not going home until we're drunk." That night, we brought a case of beer back. And I dreamed. For the first time, I didn't worry about money. No more part-time jobs to plan around. I had much more free time. I buried myself in the library, preparing for the civil service exams day and night. Sometimes, I worked until my eyes ached. Looking up, would see couples flirting and bickering. A mirror of what we once were. One day, while I was lost in thought, someone placed a cup of latte on my desk. The lid had a familiar cat face drawn on it. "You like it with ice, extra milk, less sugar." Vanessa Brooks pulled out the chair next to me and sat down, as naturally as if we were old friends. "You still sit by the window, just like before. Ethan, do you still love me?" It had been a month since we last met. She'd lost weight, dark circles under her eyes. She clearly saw me push the latte back toward her. "The truth is, I can't drink coffee, it upsets my stomach." Back then, whenever she insisted on ordering 2 cups to savor, I would give in and drink it, just to make her happy. Now I just sat back down. Wherever there was an empty seat, I took it. She probably never knew how hard it was to find a seat in the library during finals. Vanessa Brooks looked visibly surprised, a loneliness she couldn't hide flooding her eyes. Sniffling, she said pitifully, my project proposal is due tomorrow, but I haven't been able to sleep well since we broke up. Ethan, can you help me? Vanessa Brooks always liked to play around. I'd seen her posting about staying up late over the past month. Back then, I was like a nagging father, chasing after her, pushing her to study bit by bit. But I didn't expect her to spiral this badly after our breakup. Coldly, I replied, I'm busy. Figure it out yourself. You never knew how valuable it was when I helped you think things through. Not until you lost it. I'm not moved. I went back to my exam. Can you just let me look at your report once? I'll give you whatever you want. She leaned in close. Her words suddenly turned sensitive, and a wave of nausea surged through me. So to her, I was always just a transaction. As long as the price was right. An unnamed fury ignited within me. What made her think that just by snapping her fingers, I'd come running to clean up her mess? What gave her the right? My sudden outburst of shouting made her face turn pale. Everyone nearby turned to stare, their silence full of judgment. At that moment, Ryan Carter appeared. Probably waiting for a scene like this. He casually put his arm around Vanessa Brooks's shoulder. And sneered, I told you not to come find him. This nerd who just buries himself in books, what's the point? As long as you have enough money, you can buy papers from anywhere you want. He's just showing off in the library. Wrong place to be impressive. His crude remarks made him the target of collective disdain. The other students around stood behind me, forming a wall of support. I replied mockingly, even if you buy every paper, they're useless if you can't understand a single one. Ryan Carter grabbed my collar, but this time, Vanessa Brooks stepped in between us. The slap that followed echoed loudly through the library. Ryan Carter, have you lost your mind? This is between us, it's not your place to interfere. If you bother Ethan again, I won't forgive you. Shamed by everyone's glares, Ryan Carter fled. Just before he left, Vanessa Brooks tugged on my sleeve and lowered her head. Ethan, I'm sorry. What I said earlier wasn't what you think. Please don't look at me like that. I just love you. I love you so much. Strangely, I had once longed for her to bow her head to me. But now, there wasn't a ripple in my heart. It was as if I finally no longer loved her. And so, I couldn't even hate her anymore. After the interview, I went on a trip alone to fulfill an unfinished dream. In front of the palace, white as snow, countless devout believers moved step by step toward their faith. But I couldn't help remembering the night I held hands with Vanessa Brooks and walked toward the temple. At that time, my father was in the emergency room, his life hanging by a thread. I had been keeping watch outside for days without a proper meal, reduced to a ghost of myself. One day, Vanessa Brooks could no longer bear it, she helped me onto her motorbike. The wind howled past our ears as if it could blow away all our worries. We sped along the road until we reached the western foot of Mount. She said, let's go. Since you don't want to live, let's pray and exchange your life for his. And so we truly did, 5 steps, then a prostration, 3 steps, another bow. From the foot of the mountain to its peak, with the sky faintly glowing on the horizon. Miraculously, from that day onward, my father really did begin to recover. A sudden drizzle pulled me back to reality. I turned and found Vanessa Brooks standing behind me. So she really had come. For a brief moment, I doubted it, but then I remembered, there's never been anything Vanessa couldn't obtain once she set her mind to it, let alone a travel itinerary. Ethan, can we start over? She asked. That day, I swore that we would be together forever. Why doesn't that vow matter anymore? I hesitated. If I hadn't accidentally overheard her phone call, where she spoke so romantically even I was momentarily charmed, I might have believed her. This time, I'll definitely win Ethan, she had said. She clearly only loved herself but used the guise of loving me to deceive both of us for years. In the end, she even came to believe her own lie. With the last shred of patience, I said to her, "Please, let the memories remain pure. Don't make me regret having loved you." This wasn't the ending she had imagined. Vanessa Brooks stared blankly. "So we really can't go back, can we?" Silence said it all. Yet she still waited for a reply until, finally, helplessly, she squatted down, head in her hands, crying. "Ethan, I'm sorry. I clearly loved you so much. How did I end up losing you?" It was pathetic. Her shame was real, her remorse genuine. But the words, "I love you," they were fake, utterly devoid of sincerity. A week after I returned from a trip, Vanessa Brooks and Ryan Carter went public. The photo was a close-up of a sparkling diamond ring. At the time, I was busy undergoing health exams and political screening. It was Daniel who mentioned it, otherwise, I wouldn't have known. That night, Vanessa Brooks sent me a message, "I'm sorry. I'm now firmly on my path, everything going smoothly, but I still can't bring myself to say, I'm fine." Those were 3 years of youth wasted. No one deserves the kind of smile that could erase hatred. I saw Vanessa Brooks again over a month later, at the graduate thesis defense. Her figure seemed fuller. The paper she submitted was decent, with real depth, but unfortunately, it was hastily cobbled together. She hadn't prepared enough. She couldn't answer any of the panel's questions and, naturally, failed to pass. Strangely, the usually prideful Vanessa Brooks didn't throw a tantrum this time. The next day, I unexpectedly received an invitation from her father. After turning him down repeatedly, he drove straight to my dorm, clearly unwilling to leave without achieving his goal. The Brooks family's villa was on an island in the middle of the city, surrounded by wealthy or noble residents. I remembered the first time I came here, I got lost trying to save bus fare. Looking back now, it all seemed so desolate. "Ethan, I heard you performed excellently during the defense, and even won outstanding graduate. Truly talented at such a young age. Unlike me, who's already old and useless. I won't ask for much. I just hope my silly daughter ends up with a good outcome." He was full of polite words that sounded like compliments but clearly carried another meaning. I cut in, "If there's something you want, just say it directly." He placed his thick hand over mine. "Would you be willing to go abroad with Vanessa? If you agree, I guarantee the two of you will live in luxury for the rest of your lives." Honestly, I was a little stunned. Had Vanessa Brooks's public relationship been just for show? He unintentionally glanced upward. That's when I saw her silhouette hidden in the corner. Despite her efforts to hide, I could still see the slight curve of her belly. So it wasn't my imagination that she looked rounder that day. I finally understood the purpose of this little dinner. "Uncle, I respect you as my elder, but don't treat me like some idiot you can dump your burdens on." "You bastard." Mr. Brooks, caught red-handed, flushed with rage and smashed a teacup. Just like old times. It reminded me of that mid-autumn festival years ago, when Vanessa Brooks invited me to her home for dinner. I had carefully chosen a bottle of red wine as a gift. But when I handed it to her father, he accidentally dropped it. He said sorry, it slipped. But that wine spilling wasn't the real loss, it was his precious Turkish carpet worth hundreds of thousands. I stood there flustered, my ears burning. Vanessa immediately pulled me out of the house. I thought she was upset for my sake. But once outside, she burst out laughing, nearly doubling over. "Did you see that old man nearly lose it? I should have brought you home sooner." Seeing my face fall, she quickly apologized. "I was just joking." That day, I realized, our values were worlds apart. So how could we talk about love? I probed carefully. Clearly, the marriage between Carter and the Brooks family was a calculated alliance. Now that it had fallen through, I didn't know who was the wine and who was the carpet. Mr. Brooks's face instantly darkened like scorched coal. Maybe the rumors were true. Brooks Group's capital chain really was in trouble. He threatened me. Don't overstep your bounds. Even if the Brooks Group collapses, bringing you down is nothing. Really? I gave a cold smile. Then I'd love to see if your reach extends into the Economic Investigation Division. By then, the results had been announced and the contracts signed. I was officially a civil servant. Watching Mr. Brooks's eyes tremble from shock to despair, I saw Vanessa stumble out, her hand protectively resting on her small belly. "Ethan," she pleaded, "if I told you I was forced into that marriage, would you believe me? You said you'd love me forever, was that a lie too?" My steps halted. A deep sorrow welled up inside me. Once radiant and proud like the sun, she now stood trapped in the mire. I turned my back and bid farewell to 3 years of youth. Wishing us good health, and that we never meet again. The Brooks Group scandal wasn't breaking news. If we were to meet again, it would likely be in a courtroom. I didn't expect that day to come so soon. On the very day I reported for my internship, Mr. Brooks was officially summoned and taken in for investigation. When Vanessa Brooks rushed in, she was too late to see her father. Spotting me, she clung to me like a drowning person grabbing a final straw. "Ethan, will I really never see my father again? Please help me. I just want to see him one last time." For a moment, I saw a shadow of my former self, helpless and desperate. But right and wrong were clear now. No matter how moved I am, I can't cross that line. Go home. There will be other ways. But she stubbornly sat at the door, wailing until she fainted. A scream from the crowd alerted us. Bright red blood was running down her legs. It was the first time I felt the vibrancy of life slipping away in mere seconds. All the sorrow, joy, and regret faded into irrelevance. I panicked, dialing emergency services, desperately clinging to the final thread of life for Vanessa Brooks. Fortunately, we made it in time. She woke up past midnight the next day. "Is Vanessa Brooks's family here?" a nurse called anxiously in the hallway. I got up and walked into the room. Under her hopeful gaze, I remained silent when asked if I was family. She whispered, "Ethan, I've lost everything, I only have you now." But I no longer belonged to her, just as she had never truly belonged to me. I gently withdrew my hand from hers. "Vanessa, you once saved my life. Today, I've repaid that debt. We owed each other nothing now." She looked at me in disbelief, stunned into silence, then finally smiled, bitterly, resigned. She chose to let go. The Ethan from 3 years ago was immature and clueless. He didn't understand that love can take many forms, but pity and debt aren't among them. And the Vanessa Brooks of 3 years later, through tears and heartbreak, had finally realized this harsh truth. From that day forward, I voluntarily transferred out of the Brooks Group investigation team. I still saw her a few times around the department. Each time, she came and went in a hurry. She seemed to have matured overnight, steadier, more resilient. She was trying everything to help her father. Whenever our eyes met, we only nodded briefly, parting without a word. Just as I had hoped, we had truly become the most familiar strangers. Graduation came right on schedule. The campus was lively and full of laughter. People congratulated one another, took photos together. Only around Vanessa Brooks, it was completely empty. After the thesis incident, she had been forced to delay her graduation. Coupled with her family's troubles, I didn't expect her to show up that day. At the evening ball, those who had been delicately pretentious by day completely tore off their disguises, using the celebration as an excuse. Glass after glass of wine was poured over Vanessa Brooks's head like a devil's revelry. But Vanessa Brooks was a proud woman. Furious, she stood up, raised her hand to return the humiliation, but with a loud slap, a fiery red handprint landed on her own face. The culprit was Ryan Carter. Oh. Wasn't this the beloved Vanessa of his? Why was her temper still so hot? Wasn't this kind of slap what she used to like the most? Just as another slap was about to fall, I couldn't hold back and grabbed his wrist. What are you? With his fury unable to find an outlet, Ryan Carter grew even more crazed, swinging his left hand, trying to punch this meddler. Ryan Carter, if I'm not mistaken, isn't the Carter family currently under investigation? If that punch landed, it could count as assaulting a public official. Ryan Carter's eyes blazed like fire, but he had no choice but to punch the nearby decorative pillar instead. Ethan, there's still a long road ahead between us, but what can I do? His future was already over. I couldn't tell him that the entire essay buying and selling operation he was involved in had already been exposed and was now officially under criminal investigation. Perhaps with the Carter family's resources, it wasn't a huge deal. But Ryan's father had clearly known about his actions, yet let them be, and even used them as a critical link in laundering the Carter family's money. The story had already spiraled into an uncontrollable ending. Just as we were facing off, Vanessa Brooks had quietly slipped away from the scene. I followed her out of the ballroom and found her squatting in a corner, lost in thought. Red wine had soaked her white dress. No matter how much she wiped, it stayed as crimson as blood. I pulled out a handkerchief and helped her clean her face first. You were used to being proud. But from now on, don't meet fire with fire. Vanessa Brooks received the handkerchief in surprise, her eyes betraying a trace of redness. Suddenly, she leaned closer to me. I immediately turned my head. If there were a rag on the ground blocking your path, you'd pick it up and throw it away, but never use it to wipe your mouth. Do you understand what I mean? Her hand froze in midair. It was the first time I'd ever seen embarrassment written on her face. Sorry, I was impulsive, she muttered, head lowered, not daring to meet my eyes, and quickly fled. Long after, whenever I thought back to that moment, I regretted not speaking kindly, breaking things off with dignity. Who would have thought our youth would end with a sigh, suddenly coming to a halt in that summer? The last time I saw Vanessa Brooks was 2 years after graduation. That day, it was raining heavily and my wife was craving grilled lobster. She insisted on ordering it at midnight, but the delivery took forever. The order was already showing as delayed. When the doorbell finally rang, I heard a familiar voice, "I'm really sorry. The rain was just too heavy. I accidentally overturned the bike." I looked over, and sure enough, it was Vanessa Brooks. The oversized delivery uniform made her look especially small. The raincoat didn't cover everything. Mud from the fall was all over her, and in her hand, the lobster box had tipped over, oil dripping onto the floor. The moment she saw me, Vanessa Brooks panicked and lowered her head. "I'll compensate for the order. Please just don't give a bad review." My wife, feeling sorry for her, pulled her inside. "Oh dear, this girl used to be all high class. And now worrying about lobster?" She said that and dragged her through the door. But Vanessa Brooks, like a frightened rabbit, backed away from the entrance. "No need. My shoes are dirty. I'll dirty your house." But knowing my wife's temper, she wouldn't let her go like that. No matter how modest Vanessa Brooks was, my wife insisted and brought her in, turning to get some medicine. At the entrance, only the two of us were left. The atmosphere suddenly turned awkward. He had bought a house here. Following the sound, I looked over and saw Vanessa Brooks slightly poking her head out, secretly peeking at my house. Honestly, it was quite a coincidence. This house was in the same complex as the one her family had bought for her back then. Even the room layout was identical. Then I understood. She must have misunderstood something. I hurriedly gave a dry laugh. I don't have that kind of means, I just happened to get lucky with a welfare housing allocation. Vanessa Brooks's eyes visibly dimmed, and just then my wife finally returned with the first aid kit. She carefully opened it, cleaned the wound, and applied medicine for Vanessa Brooks, chatting the whole time. It's really tough for girls doing this kind of work. You really have to be careful. You know, my husband used to do food delivery too. I heard he even injured his leg back then, all for an ex-girlfriend. My wife said it casually, joking around without noticing that Vanessa Brooks's eyes had quietly turned red, and then a teardrop as big as a bean fell in a panic. My wife was startled. "Oh no, why are you crying?" "I'm sorry, did I say too much?" Vanessa Brooks quickly wiped her tears, trying hard to hold back her sobs. "I'm fine. It's been so long since anyone cared about me like that. Thank you." With that, she quickly turned and ran off, leaving behind the fragile silhouette of her figure in the dark night. Everything had happened so fast. My wife hadn't yet come to her senses before she huddled into my arms, feeling wronged. Did I mess things up again by being too kind? I gently patted her head and comforted her. "Of course not. You didn't do anything wrong." Later, at a class reunion, I happened to hear that Ryan Carter had been released from prison. When the scandal first broke out, Ryan Carter had become the abandoned son of the Carter family, shouldering all the blame alone. Because of academic fraud that had long since been covered up, he couldn't obtain a proper degree after prison, hitting walls everywhere, with no way forward. Eventually, he had no choice but to flee overseas, completely disappearing. As for Vanessa Brooks, she had vanished even more completely from everyone's life. With time, the people and events of youth gradually fade. But I've never forgotten that summer by the river. The brilliant, proud girl who, on a whim, once saved me. If you're enjoying the story, don't forget to like and subscribe. It really helps the channel and keeps more videos coming your way. Thank you for listening.